Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cheerleaders, welcome to another episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my true partner, Anthony. This is a Judo podcast for Judo players by two Judo players. So, Anthony, how you doing?
How are you doing?
How am I doing?
I'm really sore because I went to Randori for the first time I wouldn't say first time in a while. I took a week break because I was having some back issues. But now I'm good. So yesterday I went to Randori. I was sore in a good way. It's kind of weird as you get older. Mm-hmm. I feel like I shouldn't be talking because I'm not that old, but as you get older, you start noticing between like bad pain and like good pain, you know?
Yeah. The pain is like, oh my God, I think it was broken. It's like, oh yeah, that's like good soreness. You know, you get that good back sore, your legs are sore. Yeah. And yeah. Well, I'm really sore today also. I just had a crazy day yesterday too.
Yeah. And I wasn't going too hard. Like I was going pretty light. Real harder than usual, but I was taking falls, and we did that episode about doing judo as you get older. Yeah. So I'm glad I didn't go harder because I was thinking maybe I should go a little harder yesterday, but then like this morning I was like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't go hard yesterday. Like
how much lighter could you go? You're like just walking around with me for a while. You're like, oh, Juan, watch out. Don't throw me here. Oh no, they're falling, Juan. Don't throw me now.
Hey,
I think you did that on purpose. You knew when I was coming and you're like, I don't want to get thrown.
I knew it was coming. That's why I warned you because, you know, I'm going to call him out right now. Will, if you're listening to this, you're not that big of a guy. Why do you take up so much space in the mat space? And he does a drop throw too. So he's like not looking behind him and he'll drop throw someone on top of you. And I've gotten kicked in the head once before. So, yeah. So I'm
Damn it, Will.
I see him like he's about to do a drop throw behind you. And I know Juan's about to do a drop throw. So it's just like in my mind, it's like two heads flying, hitting each other in the head in the air, you know? So yeah.
It's
safety
funny.
First.
Yeah. Well, yesterday was a fun day for us because
it was really fun. Yeah. We have a lot of
yesterday. I got at the dojo. I got to dojo around like 10 a.m. yesterday, and I started doing a little bit of CrossFit workout with one of our younger students, and we did like battle rope, sledgehammer, medicine ball stuffs, with tractor tire. We did that for about an hour. Then I taught class, which was still tiring because I have to like it's tiring teaching sometimes because you got to throw slower or nicer. It's like it works you out more because you're doing like the steadier muscles, I guess, that just coming in and tossing a person. And then we had a nice break. We had a nice little hour break, and then we did Randori. I went pretty hard. He went pretty light.
When we one of the things I wanted to say was when I went to Japan and visited some dojos. One thing I noticed is just nobody did sacrifice throws. Nobody did drop throws. Nobody did sacrifice throws. Some people went harder. Some people went lighter, but no one did those. No one did Tani Otoshi either. So it's kind of like I think they developed this etiquette of how to train because they always train in tight spaces most of the time because not every place is like the Kodokan where it's huge, you know?
Yeah.
I went to the U.S. Embassy dojo and that space is pretty small. If you had
compared to our dojo, how big would it be?
Oh, it would be like a third of the size.
Okay. A third of our dojo.
Yeah.
Okay, so it would be maybe like our fighting mat area in the back or a fighting mat area in the front?
Just our mat area, cut it into three and then 1/3 of it. Like
I ain't no mathematician here.
It's kind of long, but it's like, so cut it into three lengthwise. Like imagine from the mirror. Yeah. This is the mirror, right? So you go back, you cut it, go back and then cut it.
Yeah.
So that is pretty small. So if you have like three pairs, not even four, like three pairs of people going and they were like doing drop sacrifice throws and all that kind of stuff, like there's not enough room. Like you can probably only have like one pair of people going, but I've even seen some photos of even smaller dojos. So
like I always bring it up. There's a dojo I used to go visit in Delano, and I swear that entire dojo was about as big as our inner mat ring. So you see behind me that gray, not the dark gray, that light gray square. I swear that dojo was about the size of that, and there was a pole in like 1/3 of like in a corner of the mat that to block everything.
Yeah, I just think Will was so what do you call it? Tunnel visioned about throwing someone. Like, how am I going to throw this guy? That he is not even caring about the surrounding, you know?
Yeah.
And the one thing I want to mention was, remember when we had that the Shorai, the training camp? I don't want to call it a training camp. It was kind of like some cross training hosted cross club seminar kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Emmanuel got his knee messed up because while they were doing randori, because of how many people were on the mat, someone just literally fell onto the side of his knee.
Side of his knee. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. So
yeah,
if you're out there training, please be aware of your surroundings. Yeah. Try not to take up too much space. Like if you're going to do a sacrifice throw, make sure there's space around you and you're not just like throwing someone to a wall, for example. So
it's the best time. So that was our little fun yesterday, teaching class and doing randori afterwards, which was nice. So here in California, at least Southern California, we had the first actual, and I say legitimate because our dojos had those little scrimmages that are legitimate, but the first real big tournament, it was the Taishi tournament in Westminster here in California, Southern California, hosted by Naka, hosted by Taishi.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 600 competitors, did you tell me?
Yeah, it was 600.
600 people competing. They had 6 mats, I believe, right? So they had 4.
No, 4 mats. 4 mats.
I think they used to have 6 mats. Now they only have 4 mats now. Maybe they had more. I don't know.
No, they always had 4.
Yeah. So you had 4 mats for 600 people. Mm-hmm. They had kids come in the morning and weigh in and sign up at 7 to 8 or something.
7:30 to 8:30, and then 7:30 to 8:30, and then the adults. No, there was kids like from a certain age, and then like juniors were from 8:30 to 9:30, and then adults were 9:30 to 10:30. Okay, 9:30 to 10:30 for adults. So if you're an adult and you came in like right at 10:30 or right before 10:30, you could weigh in. And Knock itself was trying to do this where they were complaining about not enough adults and teenagers were competing anymore because there's all these kids. Well, there's all the problems of that. Well, adults don't want to come in at 7 or 8 in the morning to weigh in to not to fight till at the afternoon or 3. So they were doing it better before. Before they were having like adults come in at noon. I remember the last tournament, wasn't it? No, that was the Nanka tournament. It was okay. It was a Nanka spring tournament. I don't think it was the Taishi tournament. Taishi tournament, I always waited like a good amount, at least 5 to 6 hours, maybe 7. I've never waited it was never like 1 or 2 hours. The Nanka tournaments, they always show up. They do satellite. That's what they do. They do satellite weigh-ins, and then don't show up until like noon.
Yeah,
right.
They'll tell the adults or the teens and stuff show up to try to get more older people and teens to compete again. Now keep judo popular. So Anthony, tell our audience what time did you arrive there? Because he was a 7. Good guy. He went there for one of our kids that incidentally didn't compete after all because he got a little scared when he saw the competition. So Anthony got there at 7.
Yep.
What time did you leave, Anthony?
8:30.
8:30. This guy didn't leave till 8:30 at night.
You know what really messed me up though? Daylight savings. That was the same day as daylight savings. The
day before, I told all our students because we had the beginners class, and that was daylight savings. The next day was jumped ahead, spring forward. And I told them all, if you're going to go compete tomorrow, remember to set your phone. Like your phones are automatically doing, okay?
Yep.
Most smart TVs will automatically do it, but there's just little things around your house. Like if you have a wall clock or your radio or something, that's something to be set. Even people's cars, like my car, I have to reset my car all the time. Like I think me and Matt went out that afternoon for lunch. Mm-hmm. And he had this, he was like, "Oh, look, it's only 1." It's like, "No, dude, it's already 2. All right. It's not 1. I can't remember what time it was, but it was
I barely got any sleep because, I was like, I had to sleep early. If I sleep in my regular time, then it just messed up my sleeping schedule.
Yeah. So, I'm still messed up. It's been a week already.
I know. So it was hard to fall asleep. And when I finally fell asleep, it was time to wake up already to leave because I had to get there at 7 and got there at 7. The kid and the parent actually showed up late because I told them it starts at 7:30, the walk-ups. And there was a line sneaking out the auditorium, and I've never seen that long of a walk-in sign-up line before. And I think that's how they got 600 people.
Yeah. If you remember, Anthony actually posted some of this stuff on his own Instagram feed. And you could see the line going from inside the building around the outside garden area, almost to the parking lot. It looked
that was pretty early, and as it got later, it actually got longer.
Wow, that's crazy.
But again, so when the adults started showing up, it got longer.
Oh yeah, but again, 600 people. Normally they'll get 200-300 people, but this is like double. Like I heard. I'm going to say like a lot to show my Bay Area-ness. But so I was told by some people that were there competing, people that I know showing up. They had people from out of state. They had people from Nevada,
we had people from Tijuana.
That's what I'm saying. We had international people. We had the teams that usually you see at the San Diego tournaments. Yeah. They came all the way up. Not like
Northern California was here.
There was teams from all over California, places from Nevada. I think there was one team from, even Arizona. I think I saw one of the Arizona dojos there. I saw one of them. You got the international team from Tijuana. And was there any Canadians there? I don't know. You tell me.
No, I don't think I saw any Canadians.
All right. So you had all that. So like 600 people. That is great. People are so eager to compete, get on the mat and fight and show themselves. We had 600 people show up.
That's why I don't blame the kid for because they signed up at the front. Walk in, sign up. I went in to sign the paperwork because you need a black belt to sign off on the paperwork, right?
Yeah.
Walk in, and then the mat was full. The whole place was full, was packed. And I've been to the last 3 Tai Chi tournaments before the coronavirus, and it was never that packed. So I don't blame the kid for getting freaked out and crying. After when he was leaving, his eyes were all swollen and he was crying, and I was like, it's all right, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Those nerves will get you. Get you sometimes. And for your first tournament, you see that's the sea of people. And you're like, and when you're a kid, for some reason, you're a kid, you always think you're going to fight the bigger guys. You don't realize they're weight classes. They should be similar to you somewhat. No, you think you see this huge kid, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to fight that guy.
He was also the only one there. We didn't have anyone from our club. And so I think it would have been better if he had his friends to hang around with, but it was just one kid by himself with a sea of other kids warming up,
Hollywood, we didn't send a lot of people because we had our own little in-house scrimmage the week before. So we only had, we were supposed to have a couple of kids go, but we ended up only having one child go and then 2 of our adults. And the only 2 adults that went were beginner adults, 1 female and 1 male. Our 1 male that went did really well for himself. He took 3rd place. And our 1 female
I'll outright say he got really lucky. He had a
luck better than skill or something.
He had 10 people in his bracket.
Hey, 10 people. All right. 10 plus him or 10 in total?
10 plus 10 total, I think. So it was 9-ish people. It was a big bracket.
Yeah.
I was surprised because the one guy that I think he was better than, he lost to because he got choked out, and we never taught him how to defend from chokes or how to see it coming.
Yeah,
because he's still kind of new. So So he got choked out by the one guy he should have beat, and then the 2 guys that were better than him. One guy, he somehow magically in the air countered him. The guy went for Uchimata, stepped to the side and just flipped him over. And then another match, the guy head dove. So he actually technically pushed the guy's head onto the mat, but hey, it happened to another one of our competitors, and the referee was like, hey, it's up to you for your Uchimata to be good enough so that your head doesn't touch the mat. So the guy pushing you down, if he's able to push your head down, it's technically your fault, is what the head referee told us.
It's a technical throw. It's what's it called? Something Uchimata or something mata or what's
Uchimata Sakashi?
Is that
what,
is it?
What do you mean?
When you throw them to that. Oh God. It might be the name. I think there's a name for it of something. It's going to bug me now. I'm going to think about it. Someone's going to put me in the bottom in the comments being like, do you mean this move? It's a rare move. It's a goddamn rare move. So we had that he did really well. And then we had one of our female competitors that, again, pretty much just started. Our 2 competitors that went from beginners they've only been doing judo for maybe 2 months and 3 months at the most.
It was more like 2 and 5. Yeah.
5 months are wow.
Yeah, and I said 2 months, but he hasn't been consistently coming, so he's probably come to 5 to 8 classes max. So
Yeah,
Like he has a wrestling background.
He was a wrestling before, and it's not that hard to transfer wrestling to judo. It's it works. That's how I grew up. I grew up
he kept getting Shidos because he was pushing people out the mat. So
that's the thing. We told him about that rule, and of course, that's the first thing he's gonna go for. I'm gonna push it out the mat. Like, no, you can't make it obvious, man.
Yeah.
So we had one female go compete, and so so let's get to that part. So before she goes competing, she's just about to get on the mat, you told me, and then the fire alarm goes off.
Oh yeah, there was like so we waited at this point. We waited like 11 hours, right?
11 hours.
I waited 11 hours or 12 hours. She 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So she waited 8 hours for her because she showed up later. I showed up early. She waited 8 hours. So finally she's up. So she bows in, walks to the mat, Hajime, and then the fire alarm goes off. Literally right after the Hajime, the fire alarm goes off. And they're like, Mate. Looked around. All right, let's get off the mat. Like,
just finish the match. Hurry up. Just quick 30 minutes. A quick 3 minutes. Let's finish the match real quick. Nope. They stopped it. They evacuated everybody, you told me.
Yep,
everybody had to leave.
Outside.
Did the fire marshal come out or did a fire team come out?
I don't know. Probably because we were waiting outside and the fire alarm kept turning back on and off. And you know, that's when the fire marshal come tests everything. Yeah. I didn't see him partly because we were at the back and he probably went out the front.
How long were you guys waiting for the fire alarm to get turned off?
It's probably like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I don't remember. Yeah.
30, 40 minutes. They just tacked onto you right there.
Yeah. So it felt like 30, 40 minutes. Maybe it was shorter. I have a really bad sense of time, but because I didn't look at the watch or the clock. I just like waited and afterwards went back in and then finally went back on the mat. And then obviously at that point, you're not warmed up anymore. So yeah, but nobody was.
Things changed, but originally there was like only 3 people in her bracket.
In total. So it's 2 other girls in her.
Yeah, and then they decided that after the fire alarm happened, they're like, oh well, we can't find someone for this other woman, so we're going to add her into your bracket.
That's what I assume happened because they wouldn't tell me why they did that.
Which is weird because again, like you said, she's already been there. I'm sorry, use your name. She's already been there for 8 hours. Yeah, cut that one. Bleep her name out, maybe. I don't know.
No, I think it's fine.
All right. So she's already been there for 8 hours, and they couldn't find someone for this other person to fight, so they decided to put her into the bracket.
You know, they post the brackets ahead of time on the walls, right?
Yeah.
So I checked the bracket. I was like, okay, there's 2 other girls in your bracket, right? So we fight, and then she fought one, lost one, and then when the second match was coming up, I saw the girls that she was going up. Well, actually, first I heard another sensei was complaining. It's like, all these girls aren't brown belts. I think they try to fit her in another bracket or something. Mm-hmm. And that sensei was complaining to the table, and then he went to the other staging area where they set up the brackets, and he said he could complain about something. I don't know what he complained about. And then I saw as they were going up to the coming like in the hole when you're going up next. I'm like, that girl has a back patch. I've never ever seen a novice with a back patch with USA in the back.
A USA white belt.
So if you guys don't know, for listeners who don't know, if you see a back patch and with a country code in the back, that means you compete internationally.
Yeah.
Most likely you compete internationally. And I don't know any novices that compete internationally will get a back patch.
Oh, you never heard of that international white belt tournament in France? You never heard about that one? I think they have one in Japan too. It's
I don't think they'll make you put a back patch on, but
the all national white belt tournament.
So she had a back patch on. So I went to the table and her back patch had her name on it clearly. Right. Mm-hmm. So I looked up the bracket. I took a photo on my phone and I'm like, this girl's not in the bracket. So I'm like, hey, I think you made a mistake. Like this girl's not on a bracket. And then they showed me the new bracket. So the table, the staging area stuffed this girl last second into our bracket. Mm-hmm. Whether it was after that sensei I talked about complained, I don't know. Or whether it was before that, I don't know. But they were looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you want us to do about it? Basically.
Well, tell me when someone's being added.
So I'm like, okay, so are you telling me it's not a mistake? Are you going to go check? Then they expected me to go check. But at that point, I was just like, you know what? It's not worth it. Right. So I was just like, are you allowed? Is our arm bars allowed? That was the only thing I'm concerned about. And they're like, no, arm bars aren't allowed. I'm like, okay, Sheila, just go fight her. I said, it'll be a good experience anyway. So they go on the match. I swear it was like 5 seconds. And she gets Uchimata and she lands on her face. Like,
did they call Wazari? Oh, she landed on her face. No. Wazari.
Well, the thing is, from my angle, it was also a head dive. But the whole night they didn't call head dives. I saw plenty of head dives there that night. The Shohei Ono head dive. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But the only head dive they called was the one against the male competitor we had. So he won one because the other guy did the same exact thing, but they called a head dive for that one. I don't know, well, but
it's one of those weird things with referees is that in the morning when they're doing kids, they're a little bit stricter because they're fresh and they're new and they're happy about being there. By being there by 12, 13 hours,
you see the calls go slightly like,
the ippons were higher. Like what they're giving ippon for is like Wazaris, Yukos and stuff. They're like, we just want to get out of here. Oh, he took him down. Ippon. Like, what? No, he was on his butt. No. Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was ippon, sir.
One of the last match that I'll just say his name. The last match that Corey won was actually a Wazari and they called it ippon.
Yeah.
So,
God. But I get it. They've been there all day. That's where I think that's one thing that I think about is that maybe they should have a morning set of refs and an afternoon set of refs where you come in halfway through the day. But it's about getting people to again, dedicate themselves to actually come, not say, oh, yeah, I'll be there at noon to do the second half of the day or do the adults. But that's just a whole nother can of worms.
But the other thing was during their coaches and referees meeting in the morning, they have this. That's another reason I had to show up early was to attend it. Right. They heavily emphasize their referees. If you see the head touch the mat, Hansokumake, disqualification is what they had said. Gary Takamoto said it over and over again. Head touch the mat, Hansokumake. So I'm like, there's plenty of cases where it's happening, but I think they were just so used to reffing the old style. The old way that they just aren't used to it. So
yeah. And I hate playing devil's advocate because I'm one of the guys that was complaining at the ref also. But again, there's the first tournament in Southern California in almost 2 years, other than the small one we had at our dojo. And the first time we had at our dojo back in November, we had like 5 or 6 refs show up just to like brush up on their stuff. They all came, they wanted to practice. And the second time we had our little in-house scrimmage, only 4 showed up or 3 showed up this time. So I don't know what they're like. Oh, well, I'm going to go ref next week at the Taishi tournament. I'll sit this one out. But again, it's been 2 years. They just had a change of the rules. So they have to memorize the new rules and enforce them. And that's always a hard thing anyways, remembering which rules are which. You should know them. As a coach, we have to know them. As a ref, you should definitely know them. So it's just one of those weird things. And again, like I said earlier, playing devil's advocate again, they have been there for, again, 12, 13 hours, close to 14 hours on their feet watching these matches. Yep. They want to go home too. They did not expect 600 people to show up. 600. Probably made some money on that term, I bet. I made a pretty penny on that one.
Oh, yeah. I just did the math. Like,
oh, you just did the math right now. Okay.
So let's just say it's not all because you pay $10 more if it's walk up.
Yeah.
So let's just say it's not all walk up. Let's just say all pre-registered. It's like $24,000.
Damn.
Right there.
Whew.
So
that's some good money right there for one day's work.
Yeah. Ultimately, so before we talked about the next thing, ultimately the girl got first place. I looked it up. She got first place because we left after that. She got first place, and I looked up her name afterwards because she had a back patch.
Yeah, don't say her name, please. Don't.
I won't say her name. But basically, she's been nationally ranked either top 5 or top 7 for since like for the last 5 years. Nationally ranked, and she's
been doing judo for 5 years nationally ranked.
At least 5 years nationally ranked,
and she's in the novice division.
And she was in a novice division. Plus,
not in the brown belt.
She competed internationally for Team USA on the national team. And she wrestles and she competes in BJJ. So, yeah,
5 years doing judo.
That's longer than I've been doing judo, technically. So,
national ranked national team and competing in novice division. There is something fishy and wrong right there. And I'm just going to call it out right now. That is some. I'm going to say it. You got to get demonetized. That's some fucked up shit right there. All right.
At the end, we just want her to get out there and get experience. So it doesn't really matter. But
for us with the white belt, that's what it is. Like we want them to go out there, get experience, not just be cannon fodder and get beat up by somebody. I didn't know it was that bad. I just thought that maybe we should just you said you told me that she was like some not nationally. You told me that, I think she told me she was national ranked before and she's an international competitor. I didn't know it was 5 years.
Oh yeah. For 5 years
running.
Yeah.
You should be a black belt or a brown belt at that.
Each of the age categories.
Yeah.
So I think she probably can't get a black or brown belt because she's not old enough yet. I don't know. But
damn.
Yeah.
She'd definitely be able to get a brown belt, I think. Whatever. No, if the division that she was fighting in, I don't want to get into
I don't know. Basically, I mean, yeah. Let's just leave it at that without making us sound really salty. Like,
I'm not salty. It's just very interesting to me that did that. But they couldn't fight. Like I said, forget about it. Water under the bridge, new tournament next time. Let's see what happens. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's some other judo news happening right now. So Anthony brought this to light to me that in Japan that they're getting rid of the elementary school national tournament. That you told me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So why are they getting rid of the elementary school judo national tournament, judo national championships?
So it's been no secret that Japan has a hazing culture. I'm not even going to say not in judo, just in general. There's a hazing culture in Japan based off of like seniority, right?
No, really? Oh, how surprising!
But also, there's a huge pressure for to develop young judoka national athletes. Mm-hmm. So basically, the short. I'm not going to read the whole article. The short version is they're saying kids are getting too much pressure to cut weight, perform and compete, and there's so much pressure that they're either losing interest in judo after their adulthood or after they realize they're not going to make the national team or they're not they get injured. They just never go back to judo basically. Mm-hmm. And many people don't know, but the number of judo competitors have been dropping steadily in Japan. So let's see the statistics. So back in 2004, there was around 200,000 competitors. Now in 2021, there's only 120,000. Mm-hmm. Now you have to also, this is the thing you have to be careful about statistics, right? It's like, yes, hazing could be the cause, but you also got to remember there is a birth crisis, low birth rate problem in Japan. So you have to put that in account too, but dropping by half in that amount of time is pretty insane.
Yeah.
So, and then we know that they already removed a lot of the problematic culture at the national level.
But they're trying to, at least they say they
did a lot of stuff. Like that's what Kosei Inoue and Yamashita came in. The previous guy had to retire because of a scandal.
Yeah. They
came in and they cleaned house, changed the hazing culture for the most part. Shohei Ono was suspended from his college team for hazing junior, by the way. So he lost his captain status and got banned from competing for like 6 months or 8 months or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, there's only so much the national governing body can do at the national level. They can't, it's kind of very similar to states. Every prefecture, I think, has their own like little Yudansha, kind of like our version of Yudanshikai, like their own judo organization. Mm-hmm. And then it goes to the club levels. From what I heard, to get promoted, you have to go to your prefectural organization to apply for promotions and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's only so much the national governing body can do. They can't really say much about how the local, especially school dojos and clubs run their classes. Mm-hmm. And I think this is just one example of them saying, we're going to do what we can, which is eliminate the national tournament to protect the kids. And they did say they might replace it with some sort of tournament that's more relaxed, kind of like our scrimmage, maybe without like strict weight classes, and maybe there's no like prizes at all. So they might do that, is what they're saying. But in general, like one part of this article, one child is forced to lose 6 kilograms just before a tournament. 6 kilos, like 13.3 pounds. 6 kilos, 6 kilograms for a kid. That's a lot. Yeah. And kids shouldn't be cutting weight at all in general.
No.
So
that's a crazy thing to me that someone would make a child, and this is elementary school years.
Yeah, elementary school.
And even middle school, like a child that think about kids that are in middle school, how much weight, unless they're a chubby kid, unless they're a fat kid or something, how much weight do they have to lose? Like how much weight can you lose and regain for the whole point of what the point of cutting weight is? The whole thing of cutting weight is like, I'm gonna lose water weight, fat and stuff, keep my muscle mass and then rehydrate, bulk up my muscles up. How can you do that in elementary? Besides just the impossibility of how you're going to do that, you're just forcing a kid to get the skin and bones to fight smaller kids, maybe because he's taller or something, or you're stronger for his age. You're messing up the kid's development. You're messing up how the kid's going to grow, get nutrients, get all that stuff. Like I started wrestling when I was in 5th grade. I can't remember how old I was at that time. People do the math. Okay. So I started wrestling when I was in 5th grade. I never heard anybody talk about weight cutting when I first started wrestling. I wrestled in middle school. All right. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I wrestled in middle school. No one talked about cutting weight. I think we talked about it a little bit because we kind of knew what it was. We didn't really know what it was. So we talked about it like, if you wanted to lose some weight, that's up to you. But it wasn't like we're going to cut weight for this weekend tournament at a folk style tournament or something, and then replenish, get water, do all this stuff. Like, yeah, you would not eat breakfast or eat dinner or something because you're just developing that culture of cutting weight, but you're not really doing it. Even in middle school, I didn't start cutting weight or knowing what cutting weight really was until I was in high school. And even then it wasn't a big, well, for me, at least in the Bay Area, for me, it wasn't a big, my coach didn't force us to lose weight. If he saw you fight better, if he thought, okay, Juan, if you cut this baby fat out right now, you can wrestle at 135 instead of 145, you know, you'd be stronger, leaner, faster. I think you do better there. It wasn't, you have to cut to 125 or something. I want you to cut down to skin and bones to your 125. You're going to water that. You're going to get all the water out of you. You're going to get the water back onto you after you weigh in. It's just, thinking of elementary school kids, do a parent or coach forcing elementary school kid to do this blows my mind.
Yeah. There's a lot more terrible stuff going on. I'm sure, but
just to me, it's just, you got the mental abuse of your coach and parents yelling at you. They want you to cut weight or get to those things. Your parents aren't feeding you. You're probably just drinking water, maybe rice to get your carbs in or something. And that's it. Just water and rice for carbs. And probably no protein. If you get any protein, maybe some lean fish or something.
Protein's super expensive in Japan, which is why
a lot of miso soup.
Protein shake supplements are a huge thing because buying meat and stuff is expensive. Yeah. In Japan.
It's just the mean of it is like the mental bullying is one thing, but to me, I think it just sounds like stupid to me. It's gonna sound stupid. I think you can get over mental more than you can get over the physical things that are gonna happen to you if you're cutting weight at such a young age. All right. Not saying that how underdeveloped you're going to be. You're going to get brittle bones. You're not going to be developed correctly. You're made fun more in life because of how messed up you look and how messed up you are, I think. Yeah. But there's just two ways right there. That's two ends of the sword. Your physical limitations that are going to be messed up because of cutting weight at such a young age. And then your mental messed up because your parents and your coach and whoever else is hazing you to cut weight or make a weight class.
You're always going to
talked about this there before. We have a student in our class, a new student, and his parent is literally telling the kid or telling across the class he's fat, and the kid's not super fat. The kid's big.
He's big boned. They're literally big boned. Yeah,
but he's a big, strong kid. He's not super fat. All right, he's not super fat. He's a big, strong kid. His parents should not be yelling across. I'm getting a rant now. Should not be yelling across so all the other parents and kids can hear, "Oh, my fat son, my fat son."
Yeah, and he was like, he can't do that because he's fat. I'm like, no, he can't do that because he hasn't practiced it before. Like,
he's never done judo before. And maybe if you fed him correctly, gave him a salad, some proteins, healthy carbs and stuff, instead of sugary drinks and McDonald's or fast food, whatever it is you guys give him, maybe he would be in better shape. That's just a separate rant for another day right there. We can only do so much in a dojo.
So a lot of people would argue, especially in those supporting this kind of system, is basically saying like, well, look at all the national competitor, like how good the competitors are in Japan that would produce.
That whole thing that I just joke around, like, this is how I was trained. This is how I was taught.
Yeah, exactly. Which doesn't mean anything. Because if you look at France has like just as many successes in judo and they don't do any of this stuff. I think I talked about statistics before. Judo is one of the safest sports around the world. There's like,
except in Japan.
Except in Japan. Exactly. Except in Japan. It has one of the highest injury and death rates by far compared to like France.
Yeah.
And there's actually a parents advocacy group about basically they're lobbying to reform judo training. practices in Japan, because these parents either had their kids paralyzed from their, I watched one of the documentaries of one of the kids that's paralyzed. He's like 40 something now, and his mom's taking care of him because when he was a kid, he got paralyzed. So he's just like a vegetable. Yeah. Yeah. And the last time I've heard that happen was basically to the Greek competitor recently that landed on his neck, and that's at a tournament though. That's not like during training, but yeah. So Japan needs to do something about those statistics. Yeah.
And I know I saw this in another NHK video. They're talking about the rugby. It was about a rugby coach. It was about okay, so in Japan, you told me in the article that another thing was that coaches and parents were berating referees and officials for bad calls. And that's another reason they wanted to stop it. So they're not promoting this culture. And I saw another NHK documentary doing about a rugby team, and it's about a small town, like small prefecture rugby team, and their coach is a teacher, and the teacher took it upon himself to start this rugby team. He does it out of the goodness of his heart that he wanted to do this. People wanted to train, wanted to learn rugby. So since he did it, he decided to coach it, and he had to stop because he couldn't do his normal job. He was getting so much pressure put on him by the parents and by the principal of the school and stuff to help to get these kids to practice more, to get championships or something, that he couldn't do his normal job as a teacher. And he would get parents calling him, my son wants to be a champion. My kids want to win a championship. My kids want to do this. Why aren't we practicing before class? Why aren't we practicing after class? Why aren't they not practicing into the night? It's like, I got my own job to do. I'm hired as a teacher. I'm doing rugby coach as a thing to help people out, give these kids something to do. My job is teaching. I can't even do my teaching job. So I've seen it in the Japanese culture before. I've never seen this documentary, and having parents yelling at refs, I can totally understand it. But
yeah, and I mean,
too serious about it.
If you remember us talking about the previous episodes where we went to train in Japan, like it was really hard finding a recreational place to train. It was either super recreational, like teaching your break falls kind of like, and just really recreational, or super competitive. There's not that much in between. And when I emailed a lot of the places, they're like, you're better, just go to the Kodokan. They're like, this place isn't for you. Just go to the Kodokan. And I think that's probably why, because there's in this article, it says in Japan, many children quit judo after their experiences during elementary school. So I guess those who don't go on to try and make it to the college team or make it a career out of judo, they just simply quit. And one of the recreational clubs I went to in Yokohama, there was actually a bunch of adults there that either just started or there were a few that's like, I haven't done judo in 40 years and I want to start again. I haven't done it since high school 40 years ago or 30 years ago. So that seems to be a common theme. And I think in that sense, we're a little better in America. We have like a better adult judo scene. Like if you live in a big city and you want to do judo, you're able to find very recreational, kind of competitive and super competitive. You're able to get access to all of that.
I know that's one of the problems that Sensei Moss, one of our old senseis, he moved back to Japan, and that's one of his big problems finding a gym, was that he was looking for somewhere that was like us, that was recreational, but also kind of competitive. Like our dojo, we like to compete. We love doing rondoing stuff. We have a good time. We work hard. We play around. It's a great school to come to. But when he went back home in Japan, it was like either super recreational or super highly competitive. And even the dojos that he did find to work out at, he's like, I had to do like 50% here, 50% there to get what he wants. And it's tough. I know it's really, really hard out there.
The recreational place, if I remember, he said it didn't really feel like a community because people just like come after work, warm up, do some randori, and then go home, you know? So
yeah, even one of our other friends, Yusan, when he went back to Japan, he couldn't even, the place that he trained at or where he trains at is just a high school. He just trains at the high school. There's not a dojo or recreational place. He just trains at the high school with other high school kids.
Yeah. So I was asking one of the guys at the Yokohama dojo that I visited, I'm like, why is it so hard to find a place to train at? Because I was researching places to go train. And he was like, more and more private dojos are closing up. There's just they can't make money out of it. So the ones that do stay open, they offer something like tutoring, kind of like a daycare, like you're tutoring the kids at the same time, after school programs along with judo. But no, there aren't like just judo dojos anymore because everyone either does it at school in the club or they're like super competitive. So they're at a team, a company club, a company team at a university. So there's really not much demand for like a private dojo anymore. And that club I went to was training out of a high school, like you said, a middle school, not even a high school, middle school gymnasium, abandoned gymnasium. And he was like,
with ghosts and everything.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So he was like, this school's judo club already disbanded a long time ago because of the lack of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, 4 of us, the alumni, decided to come together and start the club again and just open it up to people who want to come. So, so people imagine like going to Japan's like judo dojo are like everywhere, just like in America, how you see jiu-jitsu places everywhere.
Yeah.
They imagine it's like that, but it's not. Like,
well, it's crazy because like I love Japanese MMA and stuff. I follow a lot of Japanese MMA fighters. And even when we get to the dojo, like the gyms that Japanese MMA fighters train at, a lot of their gyms when they show their videos of like where they're training at, it's smaller than even our dojo. Yeah. And our dojo is like a decent size for a judo club, but you think about American MMA gyms are huge.
Yeah.
They have cages and rings, weight areas, mat areas. American MMA gyms are huge, but these Japanese ones are small. They're about the size of our dojo or smaller. Yeah. Smaller than that. So let's move on to that. That's terrible that they're getting rid of that, but people need to learn not to take it so damn seriously, especially for kids. And now speaking of kids, what tournament's happening right now in Japan?
Right now, as we're recording this, which is March 20th, this day 2 of the All Japan High School Championships. So they got rid of it for elementary school kids, but the high school championships are still happening. Yeah. And I think
that's wait.
Yeah,
gotta make that wait.
If you watch anime, any sports anime at all, this is what they call Intahai.
Really?
Intahai, intra high school. So
the big season finale episodes of any anime.
Yep. Intahai. So this is why all the high school students, this is where they start scouting for college teams, which is, college teams are big. So they scout for people to join a college team to eventually develop into national athletes and all that kind of stuff. So
this is where the stars of the future are found, right here.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I might be wrong, but I think Uta Abe, when she was scouted, when she was on a national team, she was still in high school. So, yeah.
Look at them now.
So, so if you, this link to the YouTube TV is the YouTube channel that has a live stream is in Japanese. So I don't, I'll put it in the description. Hopefully it'll fit. I'll put it in the description.
It's going to be a week later. People are going to watch it a week later.
Yeah. So you might be able to watch it, but a lot of the Japanese live streams, they tend to delete the stuff like really soon after it's been streamed. I don't know why they do that, but they tend to do that. So I'll put a channel in the description, but if it disappeared, like you can't find it anymore, then they probably deleted it.
Yeah. So try looking up on your own. You'll probably see matches and stuff on Instagram, Instagram and YouTube anyways.
Yep.
Yeah. I know Japanese things are really big on deleting stuff that's not theirs. That's one of the bad things about Japanese, that if it's not from their official channel or website or broadcaster, they'll take that stuff down quick.
Yep.
It will get on you.
Yep.
So that'd be something interesting to watch. Again, the champion of the future team right there of Japan. It's really, and you're going to watch a different style of judo. You're going to watch Japanese young style judo, as opposed to like American or French or something like that. It's just fun to me. It's fun to watch. You're going to also see a lot of highlights, like I said, on Instagram. People are going to start posting them soon also.
Yep.
All right. So that was judo news. Was there any other big judo news that came out during the week or so?
No, I think that was it. Got a lot of positive feedback on our Twitch stream. If you listen to our last episode, sorry for the sound quality, but that's the equipment I'm working with for doing it live.
People interrupting us in the middle of a damn interview.
Yeah, I'd have to basically spend like $500 or something on better equipment if I want to capture live interviews like that with this level of audio quality that we're getting at home. But anyway,
or just kick everybody out the dojo when we do it, which I tried to do, but people just went.
The sound quality will still sound different. It won't sound the same as when we're recording it at home. But
gotta get a boom mic, a shotgun, maybe,
or like the Rode
get the
portable mics, the lavaliers. Yeah, that's what we would do. But it's not the lavaliers that's expensive. It's the what do you call it? I forgot the name of it. It's the portable audio mixer thing that basically has separates the channels and record. Yeah. If you do, one thing about starting, I'll talk more about it in our next episode because this is our second year anniversary. Yeah. But one thing I learned from starting this podcast is I have a lot more appreciation for people that do audio for shows and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, audio engineers, like mad props.
Give it up for you.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's get to our somewhat main topic. Something that was brought up to us, and I actually started thinking about this. So I decided to bring it up to Anthony was teaching family. I'm going to say teaching friends and family, but it's like, how do you teach family, or is it cool to teach family? And the reason I brought this up is because one of our students brought up that they were really enjoying judo. They like it a lot. They're enjoying it. It's one of our beginners. Brought up, they liked it, they're enjoying it, and they want to bring their girlfriend into it. I think it was the girlfriend or wife, either one. It was their significant other they wanted to bring and start doing it.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm always, when it comes to that, I'm always like, nope, shouldn't bring them, because I always think that a couple.
That's not teaching though.
Yeah, I know, but it should have separate time. And it reminded me of how Anthony always tries to teach his wife judo, and even during the pandemic, he tried teaching her judo. So I just got to think about like, how do you teach friends and family, especially close family, don't want to do judo? How do you teach them? So that's what I think about. Anthony, how was your experience trying to teach your wife judo on your mats in your backyard or in your garage?
I tried to make it a regular thing, but to be honest, rolling out the mats because she insisted that we park the cars in the garage, that we don't park outdoors. Rolling out the mats, rolling it back in, and because I don't have the Velcro ones or the Tatami ones, I have the ones where you had to use mat tape to tape together. Makes it really difficult and annoying. So we weren't able to keep a consistent schedule. So I think if you have a dedicated area for mat space, then it'll be much better. Which I might somehow find a way to set up in the future. But she enjoyed it. But the challenge is if she's not super into it, but she enjoyed it. And judo, it's a lot of repetition. So what do you call it? She gets bored after a couple of sessions, if you know what I mean. Yeah. It's like, we're doing Osotogari again. Well, I'm like, I can't teach you Ushimata if you can't even stand or go like bend your feet low enough or do whatever on two legs. So, so there's that. And the key point is to keep the session short. So just keep it short just so they get a bit of stuff and keep them interested. But the reason I wanted to teach her was so I have a training partner at home, because I have no one to throw.
You selfish mother.
It's mutual benefit, right? So
I think it's one-sided benefit to me.
Yeah, but eventually we got more busy, so it became hard, and then we reopened, so there was not much of an incentive for me to teach her anymore. But it's still,
you got real partners.
Yeah, I got real partners, and also she likes watching UFC, like MMA. And a lot of times she'd be like, how did that choke work? Why didn't he just like do this? Why did this takedown where it looked like he just fell? I'm like, let me show you. Like, so
no, baby, let me roll the mats real quick. Let me show you. Come over here now.
Yeah. So it wasn't specifically judo, but it was, for people out there who train Muay Thai clinches and Muay Thai.
Oh my God. Tell me you did not clinch your wife and knee her in the face.
I didn't knee her in the face, but I showed her I showed her how much pressure there is when you put when you do the clinch. A lot of people look at Muay Thai clinches and like nothing's happening. It's like there's actually like a fight going on there. You're fighting for the inside positions. There's a lot of pressure to break the posture, which is why I love training different martial arts. Because if you were talking about posture, fighting for the inside grip, this is all stuff that's also like Kazushi and grip fighting, kumikata and judo, right? It all translates together. So I clinched her and she's like, she had trouble standing up. And then I'm like, right. And what happens if you try harder to stand up? So she stood up and then I just twisted to the side very lightly and she fell down. So
Ashiwaza while you're at it,
I didn't even have to stick my foot out for that. So I'm like, now you see why it looks so easy. Like it looked like the guy just fell, but this is what's going on inside. And so she appreciates that when she see something now. She's like, oh, it looks easy, but there's probably something I don't understand that's going on there. And that's already loads better than if you go on the martial arts or MMA subreddit on Reddit, on like online, any online community, you have all these people who are like, well, he could have just done this. Like, and we kind of had this discussion yesterday when we talked about the defensive BJJ.
That's funny. That'll be another episode, maybe.
That'll be another episode. But you're like, well, what if I just do this? What if I just do this? What that looks stupid. I could have done this. I'm like, well, why don't you try understanding what they're teaching first, right? So,
hey, what are you calling me closed-minded here? You call me closed-minded?
Well, you were saying I will just do this, and I'm like, you're asking the wrong guy because I have no idea how the system works. I watched the videos, and clearly it works in black belt tournaments. So. Maybe the black belt tournaments are still not like the top level black belts, but it's still it still works. Let's just say it still works at the lowest black belt level, right? Maybe it won't work in the highest level, like at ADCC, maybe it wouldn't work, but you wouldn't know until you test it. And that's what this guy's trying to do, is test the system out. But we're getting kind of sidetracked.
Yeah, we're getting off topic. So here's another question for me then, since like for you, it's teaching your wife. What's the difference? And that's also, you're just teaching at home. Like, what was the difference between teaching your wife judo and teaching a beginner, just someone you don't know, stranger off the street that just comes from a dojo?
So usually you would probably expect me to say I have to change my tone of voice to be nicer, right? That's what most people would.
To your wife or to a stranger? I don't know.
To your wife. Okay. Like, let's say you were teaching your wife something. Wouldn't you, if you ask people, how do you think I teach my wife? They're probably like, oh, you're probably more casual and more nicer to them, versus people would be stricter to their some stranger that they're teaching, right? At the dojo, they yell at them like, tuck your chin more, do 10 push-ups, like, or something like that, right? Do 10 push-ups, baby. Give me lip. No, but for me, when I teach, I only really have like one mode. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I get it. Yeah. So the way I'm not saying teach one way. I'm not saying I teach kids and adults the same way, or teach my wife and adults the same way, but the way I explain stuff is different depending on the person and depending on how old they are and how fast they learn and stuff. But my tone, like the way I talk to them, is like one way. Kids, I'm just like, do this. Adults, I'm like, do this. Wife, I was like, do this, So people would be like, oh, maybe you want to try this? Like, no, I'm not gonna, I don't have time for that. I'm just like, do this. So that's people are unexpectedly think I'm like nicer to my wife, but I'm just like, she understands I'm like really direct. So I just basically, I'm very direct. And I've gotten some beginners that have told me, and also my friends are like, yeah, when I first met you, you're very intimidating. But I just realized, as I got to know you, I just realized that's how direct you are. So,
Now, if your wife wanted to do judo, I feel like I'm interviewing you now about this mostly. We'll talk about me in a little bit also.
Yep.
If your wife decided, okay, honey, I want to start doing judo, would you have her come to the Hollywood with you, or do you have her go somewhere else closer to you, or have her go to a separate dojo?
I would, if we still lived in Hollywood, I would bring her to the dojo for sure. But I would not. This is why I think it works, because at the dojo, though, I wouldn't be teaching her, and I wouldn't be her training partner or whatever, unless there's no one showing up. I would basically separate from her. You know what I mean? Like, let her have her own experience of developing her own judo. But I've actually been trying to convince her to go to the judo place near me, just by virtue of it being closer. So there's more likely that she would show up, but she's not interested in grappling at all. So in training, she's interested in grappling. She's not interested in training grappling. She's like, I don't want to train with a bunch of sweaty men. Kind of like Liana. Remember Liana we interviewed? Yeah.
Well, she went from sweaty men to sweaty little boys. So
no, it sounds wrong with no context, but go back to listen to that episode for those who are confused by what Juan just said.
Yeah, it goes from BJJ to wrestling in high school. Okay, that's what it goes. It goes from doing BJJ in a club with adult men to doing wrestling in high school with teenagers. And she's a teenager too. All right. Yep. So, oh God, that sounds even worse. But okay, back to the topic at hand. All right. Now, I asked you that interesting question right there because me, I've never really taught a significant other. Like I've trained with them and stuff. And like my wife's a black belt in karate. So we used to do something like do karate together. And it's easier. Like, let's just do front and we'll do like karate style. So we do kata together. We do front kicks, roundhouse kick stuff. We really don't do pad drills because I don't want to kick her. Even with a light kick, if I get into it. So if she would hold pads for me, I'd probably kick her across the room probably.
I had Jessica hold pads for me before.
You kick her across the room?
No, she was just like, it's it's just like really, it's hard because I kick pretty hard because of the size of my size. But I mean, it's still doable. It's better than nothing. And
so I've never really like taught a girlfriend or wife martial arts like legitimately, like who worked out together and stuff. But I have taught friends and family members, kids martial arts before. And I was asking you about the whole thing of teaching in the same gym because it comes a really interesting question for me is that now if Jess was, oh man, I said her name. Shit, I should have said her name.
I don't care.
I like ambiguity for people. Okay. Gives it. I can always deny it later. Anthony's other wife. His Chinese one from Hong Kong. Oh, now we get him more in trouble. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I'm joking.
She doesn't listen to it.
Oh, does it? Okay, cool. So his one in Hong Kong that he has. So his one from was it a Southern China? Is that what it was?
Hong Kong is Southern China. So
no. But remember you said that so and so's come from was it Northern?
Oh yeah. Don't let's not get into that. Let's not get into that. That some people might find that offensive. So
okay, let's not get into that. He's a terrible person. Is that okay? So if Jess is at the dojo and stuff, and you don't think she's being taught right, like she gets stuck with somebody like Victor, let's say. I'm bringing up Victor now. I'm just bringing up names all over the place.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't let her pair up with Victor in the first place. I would not let that happen. But yes.
But as happens. Shit happens, all right?
I'll pair up with her before I let her pair up with Victor, unless I'm not there.
Okay. So. All right. But let's say that she was partnered up with somebody that you maybe a lower level black belt or maybe a lower level brown belt that you think that couldn't teach. She gets partnered up with them. And they start showing her these weird things or stuff like that. Would you step, like you already said you would step in and stuff, but how much would you step in? You'd be like, hey, don't go over that. Or would you be like, oh, come with me?
I mean, Philippe would be running class anyway. Me, you, Philippe, or Eric would be running class. So you guys would probably fix it, right? So this is a very unlikely scenario already. No, right?
I'm a terrible person. I think I'll let it ride to see how mad you get.
Anyway, so let's say it doesn't, then I'll wait till we're home before I'll be like, okay, that thing they showed you, like it doesn't work, or you shouldn't do that because of X, Y, and Z. But I don't think you should be like, hey, stop showing them that, because I could always be wrong. Right.
Yeah.
So I explained to her from my point of view, like this and this doesn't work because from my point of view, because of these mechanics or these situations, or it would work with a gi because of this, but it wouldn't work without a gi. Like, what I mean? Explain it. Yeah. And I want her to decide for herself, because who knows, maybe she can make it work for her. Right. Okay. And obviously, as much as I don't like Victor's teaching, Victor's doing it. He's a great judoka. Like we can agree on that, right? He's just not the best at teaching.
Yeah, I don't know about that. He's okay.
He's pretty good. Obviously, it works for him, right? So maybe the way he explains it would connect with someone else, right? Or it would work for that person. Mm-hmm. So who am I to judge? Like, we can't be that closed-minded is what I'm trying to say. You should open up to, and I'm telling you, I've been to some dojos and heard some ridiculous stuff, but I still am open to trying it out while I'm there. Mm-hmm. One, because there's respect. Two, because I want to see for myself whether it works or not. Mm-hmm. And that's why I would never tell someone like, hey, don't teach them that. Like, stop right there. Like I would never, unless there's a safety concern. Yeah. Like, let's say, hey, this is how you do flying arm bars. I'm like, wait.
Stop, my day. Stop. Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah. So that would stop. But if they're like, this is how you do osotogari, and he's like doing some weird crap with the hands or something, then I probably wouldn't stop it. So,
okay. Yeah. Cause now, so back to me, back to Juan now, is that I never had that experience of like teaching a girlfriend or something like that, but I have had tons of experience of teaching friends and my friends' kids before, or friends of kids of friends of kids. How'd you say?
I don't have much of that because I refuse to teach friends unless they agree to learn falling too, and none of them will agree to that.
And it's always weird things with me is like, because you have to draw that line. Like there has to be a weird line of, okay, when we're at the dojo, I am Sensei Juan. Okay, I'm no longer friend Juan, family Juan, buddy Juan, joking around. Because I do joke around a lot. That's just my style of teaching. I try to keep things fun, but strict at the same time, which is, I know one of our members of the dojo was like, they couldn't gauge me when they first started doing judo. Cause like Juan can be really fun sometimes and joking around. And then he'll switch it a second, be like really strict and kind of mean. And I do admit I can be mean sometimes.
Sometimes you're mean and you don't even realize it.
Yeah. To me, it's fun. To me, it's just being fun sometimes. It's like, God damn, Juan's such a A. He's such a huge D sometimes. That's just, I don't mean it. Sometimes I do actually. I don't mean it all the time. But I have had situations where I tell friends, like, if you want to learn from me, you're going to come to my class. You have to listen to me and do what I say. Not, hey, Juan, well, what about this? Or what joke around that? There's only one guy.
Like Panda.
Yeah.
What about this?
Panda. Like a panda. There's only one guy that I teach that I joke around with. That's you know who he is and stuff.
Yeah.
That I let get away with shit. It's because I've known him since freshman year of college. He's been with me forever. I can't get rid of him. Yeah. So don't worry. He doesn't listen to podcasts either. I talk all the shit I want.
I'll tell him to listen to this episode.
Yeah. He'll probably get halfway through and then stop listening, I bet. But he's the only one I let do that. What I have had problem though, when I teach friends and family is teaching friends' kids. And it's
I'll never agree to that.
Well, you have, because
friends' kids.
You do, because technically when, I don't know if you listen to this podcast either, but like with Eric, okay. Mm-hmm. When Eric's kids are there, does he teach them or do you teach his kids?
Both.
You both? Okay.
Yeah. He teaches them at home mostly.
Yeah. But do you ever worry about like, am I being too strict with them right now? No. Should I not tell them so much? No, you never worry about that.
I don't like the word strict. Like,
yeah. I like the word strict because it's more than saying like, oh, I'm more disciplined with them, because you know how I am when kids start acting up, I stop it immediately. I don't let it ride. I stop it and tell them not to do it.
You see, to me, strict is like being really, really, how do you say this? Like, you have to like sit up properly the whole time. And it's just like not realistic for kids. Right. So to me, strict is like expecting more. To me, strict is like forcing kids to go beyond what you expect out of them. Does that make sense? That's what to me strict is. For me, it's like, I have a baseline. I expect you to not talk while Sensei Eric's talking. I expect you not to like curse, for example. I expect you not to like bully other kids. Then if you tell them, hey, stop that, stop hitting that kid, that's not being strict. All right.
No. But when you continuously tell them, because I've had experiences where I've had friends that are in my karate class or my judo class. Actually a very long time ago when I was very first starting to learn how to teach. I was maybe 17, maybe 18 at the time. And I was starting to teach my own classes. And one of the guys, he was one of our, God, I want to say he was like not an orange belt. He was like maybe a red belt in Tong Sudo in time. And his son was acting up. And my sensei would always say, if you act up, that's where I get my whole thing about push-ups and calisthenics.
I don't think that's strict at all. No,
but let me finish the story though. As soon as I told that kid, hey, stop back there, come over here and start doing this, his dad kind of interrupted me. I was like, no, come over here. Come with me over here. Like, he's not bad. He's acting up. So you have to stop it. That's the way I was taught. And his dad didn't like that. And he thought, oh, he's acting up, so come over here and work with us instead. And I was in the future, and I told that to my karate instructor, and I told my pops, and I was like, hey, this happened today. What do you think about it? I was like, well, he shouldn't have done that to you because that's undermining you. But it sets a bad precedence that the child can act up and the parent will protect them. And that's why I make that thing, like when we're at the dojo, we're on the mat where it's learning Tong Sudo, kickboxing, any form of karate, whatever I'm doing, striking with you, grappling, whatever. When I'm on the mat, I'm the one in charge, you know, like you must listen. And I think that's a tough thing for me, because I've dealt with that with teaching friends and friends' kids. Not a whole lot of family. My family doesn't like me teaching them for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't think that's strict. It's not like you're telling them to like do 100 burpees or 100 push-ups or something.
Yeah.
But it's not a surprise, because when you fill in for the class, you're like, hi, I'm Sensei Juan. If you talk over me, if you do this, and this, I'm going to make you do push-ups. So you already established the baseline. So that's the baseline is not ridiculous. It's just basically, again, going back to what I said, it's like, don't talk over me. Don't hit other people. Don't leave the mat when we tell you not to. Like, that kind of stuff is a baseline. And you're just saying, okay, here are the consequences for when you don't listen to me. That's not strict. And a lot of people, what do you call it? Define strict as like especially for kids, it's associated with punishment, negative reinforcement. And I don't think that's the definition of strict either. Or they'll be like either punishment or the tone of your voice is like strict. It's like, oh, Sensei Juan is strict because he's like, what are you doing? Like, he yells at you, like yelling at, for example, there's Sensei we talk about from another dojo, he yells at people, so he's strict. And I don't think he's strict because he yells. Like, you can be not strict and yell, right? like yelling is not
yelling at, right? Have a good time. Enjoy that. Just
and then I mean,
it's just.
And then if you tell a kid to stop doing something, like, hey, can you please stop doing that? Like, you wouldn't say that person is strict because of how nicely you put it. Right. So I think strict for me is just like expecting more out of the kids than you would, because I don't expect kids to pay attention for the whole hour. It's like impossible. Yeah.
And for me, I'm going to put this out there now, like, because I had that experience when I was younger, when I was like I said, I was like 17, maybe 18 at the time. I had that experience when I was first starting teaching, I was younger and stuff. That kind of holds to me now, where sometimes when I teach my friends' kids, like I still be strict, but it's like, I kind of look at the parents sometimes like, am I okay? Are they going to undermine me? Am I going to be allowed to discipline them the way I want to when they start acting up? Because they can't always be like, hey, good job, high fives, all this stuff. Like, no, if they mess up, this is just the way I teach, the way I was taught. To go back to the Japanese thing, so I was taught this way.
The way me and Eric do it is because we don't like to yell. Like, I'm losing my voice right now just from talking on this episode, and I see me drinking water because I just can't yell. I literally can't yell, which is why people get intimidated by me, because this is my voice the whole time. I have a very stern voice, I guess. And Eric is just like, he just has no time for that. He doesn't want to yell at other people's kids. So we tell the parents, like, tell your kids before you come here, like, you have to listen. Can't do this. You can't do this and that. And if you're not going to do it, we're going to ask you 3 times. And then we're not going to yell at you. We're just going to tell you 3 times. And then the 3rd time you're done. Like, come back tomorrow, come back next week. And it's a repeated problem. If it's a repeated problem, then you just can't join class. Because the thing with kids is, most of the kids, like on Saturdays, you know how we have a smaller class? Yeah. They behave really well on Saturdays, but when bad kids show up, it just like infects the entire room's atmosphere. Yeah. So that's why you have to put a stop to it in the first place. And it's like, we're not going to treat you like, I don't want to say treat you like a kid, because they are kids, but we're not going to treat you like you're stupid. You have control. If you can't control yourself, try harder, because most of these kids aren't even trying to control themselves. They're just blatantly ignoring you. So if you can't do it, then just get out. So we're to treat you like
just get the F out. Yeah. So that's why for me, it's always weird when you teach friends and family and stuff, teaching them, because there's that, to me, is always that weird line of like, if you know the person and you're friends with them. And it's not like the whole thing of, they become friends with them because their kid comes to judo. Like, they know you as Sensei Anthony, so they respect you that way. But if they know you outside as Uncle Anthony or my dad's buddy Anthony, you know? And I remember seeing that problem a lot, not a lot, but there was one time when I was in, I think it was in middle school or high school, and I was doing Tangsudo. One of the dads started working out with my pops, with my karate instructor. They started lifting weights all the time. They're both body guys, so they lift weights. And that kid started being a little bit more inappropriate in class, like messing around more, talking more, doing things like, oh, well, my dad's buddy with Sensei Mike, so he can do whatever I can do whatever I want. You know, he's my dad's buddy, so I can act up more. And I remember he had to get a stern talking to one time during class, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Would you think you're special now? Which, again, is the way I was taught. Like, it's just, you stomp that stuff out. So it's just that weird stuff sometimes when you teach friends, kids, or families and stuff, kids. And that's like a hurdle I'm gonna have to go through later. You and me are definitely have to go through later in life. Well, hopefully later in life when we have to teach our own kids.
Oh, I'm not having kids, so
you say that now. I don't want that shit. Don't you curse me with that one. I would love, like, I know my niece and nephew, they don't live in California and live near me. I would love to teach them, but it'd be a weird thing of Uncle Juan's fun and goofy. He loves to play around. Uncle Juan, the mat, is super freaking mean. He's yelling at us and throwing us all over the place.
But back to the kids, like, I get a lot of my, so I've been training, I don't want to say I've been training kids for a long time, but it's been a good, like, what, three years now teaching kids, like helping out Eric and Moss. And kids are very impressionable. And I tried out a lot of like traditional methods when we had a smaller class. I was able to, like, okay, this month I'm going to try this. Oh, we got a new kid. Let me try this other methodology on this kid.
You're experimenting on them. You're terrible.
That's essentially, how do you know? Yeah, because you need the feedback, right? So, the best training style I've used is basically learning about positive and negative reinforcements from this dog training book, because I was learning how to train my dog.
God. And you're using dog training techniques on children.
Because humans are creatures of habit, right? We don't like brushing our teeth, but we do it anyway because I love
brushing my teeth. I love the way it feels. He's so tingly.
We're creatures of habit. You start doing stuff that you don't know because it's just your habit, right? Especially kids. Kids are super impressionable. They imitate what everyone does and whatever. Like right now, the cool thing is to say COVID when you give people high fives. So
are you serious?
That's what they do after class.
Oh, who started that one?
And that's why kids copy. That's why kids copy what other adults say. And so when we talk about these behavioral issues in teaching kids class, which this is turning into teaching kids class.
I know. So topic. We developed into this instead.
Yeah, but when it comes to that, you're in the end it's also kind of true about schools too, because right now teaching schools is daycare, but when it comes to teaching kids, it's also the parents' responsibility, clearly. And that's why at Judo, our classes, we kind of are talking to the parents kind of when we say, don't do this, like why you shouldn't do it. Yeah. You shouldn't do, like, for example, we had a kid running in the parking lot as the car was backing up. And I was like, guys, don't run in the parking lot. Cars are backing up. You can get run over. And then the parents understand it's the parents' job to reinforce this, right? So in a sense, you're also training the parents. Just like when you train dogs, you're not training the dog, you're training yourself. Or dog trainers don't train the dog. Like when you go hire a dog trainer, they're not training your dog. They're training you how to train your dog.
How to treat your dog. And
how to treat your dog. To not reinforce these things. So if you yell at the kids, what are they going to learn? They're just going to learn that yelling gets you what you want, especially if you're older than them, bigger than them, stronger than them, then you can yell and get what you want and get people to act the way you want them to, which is not the case. And you just have to explain things. What you're doing is unacceptable because you're interrupting the class. I'm trying to talk, and what you're trying to talk over me while I'm trying to teach a class, you're stopping everyone else from learning, and it's disrespectful to me. And this is our dojo. You're not welcome here right now because you're disrespecting. And they might not get it at first, but as kids, that's the thing. Kids grow up really fast, right? So, and they develop really fast. So after a while, they're going to get it. And then when the older kids get it, the younger kids will start copying what the older kids do.
Well, I think you mentioned it right there. And what I was talking about, what you're talking about, what comes down to in the end is always respect. When you're teaching a friend, family member, a friend of a family, like kids and stuff, it's about that respect. And when you're on the mat, they have to respect you as Sensei Juan, Sensei Anthony. This is the space. We're not buddies here. And that's always a kind of a weird reality check I always find when you teach somebody as a friend or family or something, that there's that, it has to be that line of when we're on the mat, I am Sensei Juan. When we're on the mat, I am Sensei. This is Sensei Anthony. I still feel really weird when people call me Sensei. I prefer Coach. Like coach. That seems better. I always love that. I love Sensei thing. For me, also, I had a weird thing also going off a little bit off topic is that like with some of the guys that are now like brown belts and our first Dan black belt stuff, some are going to start to get the second Dan's like they grew. It's like they grew up with your cousins, you know? Yeah. they grew up with me being as Juan, the high ranking brown belt, Juan, the substitute, Juan, the high ranking brown belt. So when I got my black belt, it was like, oh, it's still the same Juan. It's like, no, now I'm a black belt and I'm teaching class. I'm taking over things. I am Sensei Juan now.
I think that's because of what I think about the belt system. And I feel like for me, Sensei is like technically Shodan's beginner rank. So a beginner rank should not be Sensei. That's just in my head. So
yeah, but to me, it's like now I'm a black belt and I get not full range, but I'm like full reign of like teaching class that I am the substitute teacher. Sometimes I am the one instructing you guys on stuff. I'm not just the high ranking brown belt helping you guys out. It's that now I am the black belt. I am the assistant instructor, co-instructor, whatever you want to put in stuff. So it's just the thing it's just the thing about respect. And you have to have that boundary that they understand that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard thing with certain people to get there. And that's why I don't teach a whole lot of like close friends. If they go study martial arts, they go study somewhere else. If we cross train together, sometimes we do it for fun and it's outside. So it's for fun. But if you come to my dojo, my gym, I expect a certain level of respect. It sounds like such an asshole thing to say.
No, I understand what you're saying. And it does get a lot of bad rap because a lot of people do get the power trip. Like, hey, I'm the sensei. You do what I say. Like it does get a bad rap for people having power trips. But at the same time, it's kind of like in a classroom setting and let's say a military setting too. You have to establish, like you said, boundaries and a hierarchy because otherwise things go out of control. People might start slacking off or like not doing what you tell them to or do dangerous stuff because it's like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like I'm cool with Juan. He'll let me do this, that it eventually starts drifting into this different mentality. And it's important to keep that structure and hierarchy, like you said, on the mat for safety reasons and also to make sure you're passing on the knowledge as efficiently as possible because we don't spend our whole lives training. We have limited times on the mat. So
yeah. And I get the whole thing from Sensei because my pops always told me that when he was teaching his friends or when guys start to get a little too familiar, as I used to say, is that once they start just referring to you as, hey, Juan, hey, Anthony, hey, this, hey, that, it's like, no, what's my name? Sensei Juan. That's why I always did Joe. I know what you mean. I'm still getting kind of hard to, like, I have to call Philippe like Sensei all the time. But I'm the same thing. Like if you've been running my senior instructors my entire life, I still call him Sensei. My pops, I still go call him Sensei sometimes. My uncles, I still call them Senseis all the time. Even when we're outside eating dinner, we've been out with Philippe before. Like,
yeah, and Philippe it's really, but it feels super weird when we go out for a drink with him and I'm calling him, hey, Sensei. Like, it's just like
the worst is when you're out with a bunch of senseis. Like when we used to go out to big dinners and stuff, we'd be like, Sensei Gary would be there, Moss would be there, Philippe would be there. I think Bob was there one time, so we did something. I was like, hey, Sensei, what? You got like 5 guys around. I'll be like, what? It's like, oh shit, Philippe, Moss.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be better about because like I said, it sets the mood, right? And who the hell? I don't want it to be like in Japan where you go drinking with your boss and there's like a hierarchy. So I wanted to be like your
drinks. All right.
So I wanted to be like, okay, once we're off the dojo, I want it to be like more casual. So I'm trying to break that habit of calling Philippe Sensei Philippe off the mat. So, but it's hard. So
yeah, it's hard. And it's funny because we bring up Philippe and stuff. He's kind of uncomfortable. He appreciates it, but he's kind of uncomfortable sometimes too. If you ever notice, if you go out with him and you say, hey, Sensei, and he'll be like, oh, like you kind of get a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, you're a badass. You deserve it. Okay. Who cares? They call you Sensei. I respect you. So as our discussion on teaching friends and family, I drift off in other things in different places, but the whole thing in the end, like I said, is about respect. If you can't separate it, you can't work together. If I can't I'm a very respectful person. If you're my instructor at that time, I respect you. I like that. But you get other people that aren't, that are like my buddy, my drinking pal, and they can't separate it. You can't teach them. It'd be too hard because they're going to talk back to you. They're not going to listen to you. And especially with the kids, because you have to be looking at the parent the entire time. Is it okay if I do this? Is it okay if I do that to them? Can I demonstrate on your son? Or you're going to get mad if I kick them across the room. I'm not going to, but it could happen.
Yeah. But, if they can't separate that, it's always ideally to just go learn from someone else, right? It's also kind of weird when people say like, "Oh yeah, I'm kind of curious in judo. Like, I want to try it out sometime," and then you teach them and then they're not into it. Now it's kind of awkward because they're like, oh man, he took his time to teach me this. I should give it. I kind of want to quit, but I don't want to tell him that. Like,
I can't disappoint him. I think it's probably the opposite, actually. Yeah, I want to try judo. Oh man, that thing sucks. Hey Juan, that thing he's taught me sucked. Like, no, you get on the mat. You don't know people now. You don't know people nowadays. They'll be like, oh yeah, I'll be there next week, and then. Yeah, I know exactly that. I know exactly those people.
Yeah,
so, I'll leave the house sometimes with knowing those people.
Yeah, so that's another thing about teaching people, your friends and family. But again, my requirement for teaching someone that I know is that you have to agree to learn the falls first, and nobody lasts more than one session. So, yeah, it's boring. It's boring. You have there's no way around it. It's boring. So
no, it has to be with judo. You have to know how to fall. That's what we do. We throw each other on the ground. We fall. It's one of the first things you have to do. It can't be teaching you how to do Ippo Sonagi and be like, okay, I'm going to teach Ippo Sonagi, but I'm not going to throw you. You can't fall. It's okay.
I mean, I did that private once time with the police officer.
Oh, yeah. You told me.
Yeah, he just refused to take the fall. So I told him, hey, you're just better off going to BJJ. I told him, I told him, you just go to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I remember that because he trained with you and Philippe first, and then you're doing it at your house privates with.
Because he lives close by my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not a self-defense expert. I'm not a police officer. I had no business teaching you all that kind of crap. I'll teach you what I know, which is for sports judo. And it can be used for self-defense. Like Osotogari, you can totally use it for self-defense, right?
Yeah.
And I said, what I think would be most valuable is, which I think I'm really good at, is teaching you how to fall. And obviously I didn't want to fall. And I had the crash mat and everything out too. I have a crash mat at home.
Well, but your car got towed next week. That was random. And so, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. But it goes right there again. We're circling back again to it again. I'm sorry we're going back to it. Is a respect thing. Yeah, they respect you enough to be falling or get thrown to learn full judo.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm the instructor. I'm the instructor. You don't get to pick and choose why I teach you. I'm not going to teach you the throws unless you learn how to take the fall for it. So, because you don't know, especially for people that never taken falls before, it's like they don't know how much damage those throws can do to people.
Exactly.
So it's like you shouldn't be doing shit to people that you don't know what you're doing to them. So.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, it's just a fall. Like, it's like, no, you
get thrown with force even 3 feet in the air and see how it feels. It don't feel good. I know it may not look as devastating because you see us throw each other on these mats and we get back up. Our bodies are hardened and toughened to it. These mats, like our dojo mats, are great mats. We have the subfloor. You watch Olympic players, their bodies are hardened to it. And I know a lot of things people are like, oh, I see MMA and these guys do some like harai goshi or that judo hip throw, that judo arm throw, and they'll get thrown and get back up. Trust me, I fought MMA. UFC mats, they're very similar to like judo 2-inch tatami mats. They're even a little bit softer. Some of the mats that I fought on were even a little bit more squishier. And I'm like, damn, if I throw a guy on this, he's not going to take that much damage. But if I throw a guy on concrete, hardwood floors, cement, you're messed up. And if you don't want to fall and you hit your head, you are effed. All right.
Yep.
All right. And with that, so let's end the episode then. Respect your friends. Don't be an asshole if they tell you to separate.
I mean, let's leave it off with some advice, I guess. So if obviously it's better to learn from someone else, but if you don't have anyone nearby to teach you, which is a very common case for judo in America, or you just want to learn from your friends for fun, make sure you establish boundaries. Like what kind of relationship would this be? Like, are you serious? Like if it's serious, then it's like, okay, you're this instructor, I'll listen to what you say, versus like open mat kind of feel. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, we're just messing around. It's not serious. Like, show me some fun stuff, like double legs, or 360 arm bar. I don't know, jumping. So
show me that crazy cross step taitoshi you do.
Yeah.
I'll be able to do my crazy cross step taitoshi. That's pretty complicated.
Yeah. So just make sure you establish a boundaries just so the expectations are on the same page. So it's not like, well, I thought this would be more relaxed, not so serious kind of thing. So
Yeah, you got to establish boundaries and respect the boundaries once you guys make them. Don't be like, hey, man, I thought we were friends. Or the worst one, we didn't get into this, but I really don't want to get into like, hey, man, you were friends. Like, can I get an orange belt? Hey, I've been doing this for a while.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
Like 3 weeks. Can I get my brown belt already? 3 weeks on a brown belt?
Hold on. I'm going to pull my my brown belt out from my bag and then give it to Jessica.
But that's another one also. That could be a totally different thing about people begging for belts or trying to pay for belts. But yeah, if you're friends, that's a totally separate thing. I just didn't go on longer and longer.
I should tell her like, hey, if you let me buy that motorcycle, I'll give you the brown belt.
If you let me buy one. Yeah. Now go defend that brown belt. Wear it at a dojo. Wear that and now don't go defend it. I'll give you a yellow belt with 2 stripes. I thought Judo didn't do stripes. Oh shit, you caught me. Oh, shit. All right. So is that it, Anthony?
Yep.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No, that was it.
All right. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on YouTube at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on Instagram, Tatami Talk. You can follow me at @Jerry_Juan. You can follow Anthony at Anthony Throws on Instagram. If you want to send us any emails about like things you want us to talk about, things you want us to look over, things that you think that's more interesting for us, some questions you want to ask us, you can get us at tatamitalk@gmail.com. Is there anything else? Am I forgetting?
No.
All right. That should be it. All right. So you want to do it together or you want to do it separate?
You just do it how we usually do it. What you say.
I know we've done it pretty different. We've done it very inconsistently different ways.
Okay. You say it.
Okay. I'll say it. All right. So don't forget to
slap the mat.
God, that's terrible.
Yeah.
All right. Peace out.
Peace out.